Hi, and welcome to Conectados, a weekly space where we connect with resources, with technology, with ideas, with neighbors, with stories, and much more. I'm your host, Cris Oviedo, and I am very happy to be with you today on this beautiful Wednesday. Conectados is a space, that connects us to one another and brings us together. And today we're connecting with our financial segment. We're also connecting with the real estate tip of the week. We're also going to connect with stress and our mental health and much more. And we start highlighting the holidays and observances coming up in the next 7 days. Which include a combination here in our segment that I call Holiday Happenings, which include a combination of important health matters, creativity, religious celebration, and our planet Earth. So let's watch. Wednesday, April 16th, which marks National Healthcare Decisions Day. This day encourages everyone to complete advance directives about their future medical care preferences. It's a perfect time to have those important conversations with loved ones about your healthcare wishes and to get your documents in order. Local hospitals and community centers often host free workshops to help people complete their advance directives, so check your community calendar for events. Thursday, April 17th is International Haiku Poetry Day. This celebration honors a traditional Japanese poetic form consisting of 3 lines with a 575 syllable pattern. Libraries and poetry groups across the country will host haiku workshops and readings. And why not trying writing your own? Here's one that I prepared for today. Spring winds gently blow, cherry blossoms dance and fall, nature's poetry. Friday, April 18th is World Amateur Radio Day, celebrating the valuable service provided by amateur radio operators worldwide. Did you know that amateur radio can be a crucial communication method during emergencies when other systems fail? Many radio clubs are hosting open houses, offering demonstrations and information on how to get licensed. So Google amateur close by in your area and check it out. Saturday, April 19th brings us National Garlic Day. This versatile ingredient has been used for thousands of years in cooking and traditional medicine. Local farmers markets will feature special garlic varieties, usually around these dates, and several restaurants in town usually offer garlic-themed menu items as well. So if you're a garlic lover, this is your day to celebrate without worrying about your breath. Sunday, April 20th is Easter Sunday, one of the most important Christian holidays celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Many will attend special church services, participate in egg hunts, and gather for family meals while reflecting upon the greatest love of all. Monday, April 21st is National Kindergarten Day, honoring Friedrich Froebel, who started the first kindergarten in Germany in 1837. This day celebrates the importance of early childhood education and the dedicated teachers who inspire our youngest learners. It is a great time and a great opportunity to show appreciation to these educational heroes. And finally, Tuesday, April 22nd is Earth Day, making its 55th anniversary in 2025. Earth Day is a global event supporting environmental protection. Local environmental organizations are hosting cleanup events, tree planting ceremonies, and educational workshops throughout this month, encouraging all of us to do our part and taking care of our planet. Many things to celebrate this week, and while some are just one day fun or smelly celebrations, others are important reminders to make changes and stay committed to causes like caring for our planet and doing what we can daily, because really, truly small changes can make a world of difference. Up next, we have our weekly financial wellness segment brought to us by our good friends of Making Change.
Hi, my name is Nakia Williams, and I am a HUD certified counselor from Making Change Center right here in Howard County, Maryland. Today, I want to share with you some key strategies on how to manage your household on a limited income. When you're working with a limited income, it's important to take control of your finances. The first step is budgeting, and budgeting is absolutely paramount. Start by creating and keeping an updated monthly budget. This should include your net income. That's the money you bring home after taxes and all of your monthly expenses. The key to budgeting is continuously updating it. Life changes, and so should your budget. Once you've completed a detailed budget, you can see exactly where your money is going. We will be able to identify what expenses are wants and which ones are needs. From there, you can eliminate as many wants as possible, freeing up money for the necessary expenses. It's also important to create positive spending habits. Plan for special days, events, and other occasions, but make sure you're being mindful of your spending at all times. Consider looking for ways to increase your income, whether it's taking on a part-time job, offering goods or services, or finding other creative solutions. It's all about finding balance. And of course, maintaining a strict budget is key to making sure you stay on track. It's also really helpful to share your overall financial goals with the people in your household, including your children. When everyone is on board, it becomes a team effort. Let us work with you on your journey towards financial self-sufficiency and empowerment. Even with the income you bring in each month, you'd be surprised how small changes like managing eating out or cutting down on those morning coffees can also make a big difference. The time to take control of your finances is now. Do you want to know more about managing your household on limited income? We're here to help. Let's make financial stability a reality for you.
Thank you to our friends at Making Change. I am dropping their website, their phone number, their email on our comments for you so you can connect with them and you can start making those little changes, those, as Nakia was saying, those little adjustments that can make a big difference and give you great results. So thank you for Making Change, for making that a reality for all of us. And up next we have Santiago Carrera with his real estate tip of the week.
Teo Carrera here, and here's another tip while you're selling your home. We have heard like 100 times, curb appeal. Yes, curb appeal matters. You don't have a second chance to show the best of your home. So if you have to paint the front door, change your mailbox, put some flowers in the front of the house. Landscaping is important. So little things that is going to make the outside of your home look great, and it's going to attract buyers to see the inside. So improve your curb appeal and you're going to attract more buyers. See you next week with another tip while you're selling your home.
Thank you to Santiago Carrera and his team as well for joining us every week and helping us get our homes ready so we can get them sold. Next, we're going to talk about hair loss. I know that this is a problem that affects not just me, but a lot of people out there. So I wanted to bring you some ideas and some solutions around it. Affects millions of people worldwide. Whether you've noticed more strands in your shower drain or are concerned about thinning areas, you are not alone. And that's why today I'd like us to explore the causes of hair loss, prevention strategies, and introduce you to an effective solution, Pharmacy's Reviving Set. So stay with me for the next few minutes and let's dive into this important topic. First, let's understand what's happening when we experience hair loss. The average person loses about 50 to 100 hairs per day as part of the natural hair growth cycle. But when you're losing significantly more, it may be time to pay attention. Hair loss can present differently, from gradual thinning on the top of the head to circular bald spots to complete hair loss across the scalp. For men, it often begins with a receding hairline, while women typically experience broadening of their part or thinning throughout. It's important to recognize that hair loss is a common issue that can affect anyone, regardless of age or gender, though it really does become more prevalent as we age, with about 2/3 of men experiencing noticeable hair loss by age 35 and up to 40% of women showing signs by age 40. So, what's behind this common concern? Several factors, really, that can contribute to hair loss. First, there's family history, and that is the most important or most common cause of hair loss. This hereditary condition called androgenic alopecia occurs gradually in predictable patterns. We also have hormonal changes, which come with conditions like pregnancy, childbearing, menopause, and thyroid problems, which can cause temporary or permanent hair loss. Several medical conditions can also trigger hair loss, including alopecia areata, which causes patchy hair loss, and scalp infections like ringworm. Certain drugs used for cancer, arthritis, depression, heart problems, and high blood pressure may cause hair loss as a side effect as well. Physical or emotional shock can cause temporary hair shedding. Significant stress pushes hair follicles into a resting phase, and affected hairs may fall out suddenly when simply combing or washing your hair. Also, inadequate protein, iron, zinc, or essential fatty acids can contribute to hair loss. So, nutrition is really important when we're talking about protecting and taking good care of our hair. Excessive heat styling, chemical treatments, and even tight hairstyles can damage hair follicles and lead to hair loss. So women out there who are watching and listening to this, just be mindful and careful and let your hair natural here and there so that it can have a little rest. Understanding your specific trigger is the first step towards finding an effective solution. While some causes of hair loss are not preventable, there are several strategies that can help maintain healthy hair. For instance, avoid harsh treatments, excessive heat styling, and tight hairstyles that pull on your hair. Please use a wide-toothed comb to detangle wet hair carefully. That way you protect your hair in a gentle way. As we said earlier, nutrition, it's really important. Eat a balanced diet rich in proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Foods like eggs, berries, fatty fish, and leafy greens provide essential nutrients for hair health. Also, incorporate stress reduction techniques like meditation, regular exercise, or yoga into your routine. Regular checkups are important too. Have your doctor check for medical conditions that might cause hair loss, especially if it seems sudden or patchy. Maintain a healthy scalp environment with regular cleansing and avoiding product buildup. So take care of your scalp. And believe it or not, sun protection is important too for your hair. Protect your scalp from sun damage by wearing hats or using hair products with SPF. Finally, you want to stay hydrated. Drinking plenty of water can keep your hair follicles hydrated and functioning properly. These preventive measures can significantly impact your hair's health and may slow or prevent certain types of hair loss. Now, keep in mind that when addressing hair loss, the products you choose matter significantly. Many common hair care products contain harsh chemicals that can further damage vulnerable hair follicles or strip the scalp of natural oils. Quality hair products should be free from sulfates, which can strip hair of its natural oils, contain nourishing ingredients and strengthen hair from the root. They should also address your specific hair concerns, support a healthy scalp environment, and provide protection against environmental damage. Unfortunately, many people waste money on products that either don't address the root causes of their hair loss or contain ingredients that might actually worsen the condition. That's why choosing science-backed solutions from reputable brands is essential. This brings us to a solution that's changing the game for many people experiencing hair loss: Pharmacy's Reviving Set. This comprehensive system is specifically formulated to combat hair loss and promote healthier, stronger hair growth. The Pharmacy Reviving Set includes a specialized shampoo that cleanses without stripping while delivering active ingredients to the follicles. It also includes a nourishing conditioner that strengthens hair strands and prevents breakage, and a scalp treatment serum that targets the root causes of hair loss. What sets Pharmacy's Reviving Set apart is its unique blend of ingredients, including biotin to strengthen hair and improve keratin infrastructure, caffeine to stimulate the hair follicles and promote growth, plant stem cells that revitalize dormant follicles, antioxidants that protect against environmental damage, natural oils that nourish the scalp without causing buildup. People who use Pharmacy's Reviving Set typically report seeing results within 4 to 6 weeks of consistent use with reduced shedding, improved hair density, and healthier looking hair overall. The best results come from using the complete system as directed. So, hair loss can be a challenging experience, but understanding its causes and taking proactive steps can make a significant difference. So whether you're just beginning to notice thinning or have been dealing with hair loss for years, Pharmacy's Reviving Set offers a scientifically formulated approach to healthier hair. Remember, consistency is key when addressing hair loss. And for more information about Pharmacy's Reviving Set or to place an order, you can contact me at 301-500-773, or you can just click on the link in the comments and get yours today. And remember, when it comes to hair loss, the right knowledge and products can make all the difference. And we continue with Conectados, our weekly space to connect with resources, information, and most importantly, with one another. I am your host, Cris Oviedo. And up next, I want to bring your attention to our mental health and stress. In a nation where 76% of adults report that stress impacts their health, with symptoms including headaches, fatigue, nervousness, anxiety, and depression, this conversation could not be more timely. The American Psychiatric Association's 2024 poll reveals that 43% of adults feel more anxious than they did the previous year, up from 37% in 2023 and 32% in 2022. These numbers tell a powerful story about our collective mental health, especially as 70% of adults express anxiety about current events. And while awareness is growing, only 1 in 4 adults sought professional mental health support in the past year, highlighting the persistent gap between need and action. That's why I'm delighted to welcome someone who's working to bridge the gap, Denise Giuliano. She's the Executive Director of the National Alliance of Mental Illness, known as NAMI, of Howard County. Since taking on this role in 2018, Denise has made it her mission to raise awareness about mental health symptoms, particularly in youth and young adults, emphasizing early intervention and working to reduce stigma. Her background in public policy, having worked on Capitol Hill for 6 years and as an education and healthcare lobbyist, combined with her extensive volunteer work with the Community Action Council's Head Start program and the Howard County Public School System, brings a unique perspective to her advocacy work. Under her leadership, NAMI Howard County has delivered over 60 mental health presentations within the school system to parents, students, and staff. But perhaps most importantly, Denise finds the greatest meaning in helping individuals and families connect with resources and support, ensuring that they understand that they are not alone in their struggles. So please help me welcome Denise to Conectados and stay with us, please, for this important conversation.
From social media. It's okay if you're not going to be aware of what's happening in the world all the time.
Denise, it's always great to have you and be in space with you. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks for the invitation, Chris. I always enjoy talking with you as well.
So let's get right into the conversation, right? Stress, I feel that when I open my social media, I right now more than ever seeing, I'm so stressed. Like people are always saying, I'm stressed. There's so much going on. I'm overwhelmed. Like there's just a lot. I feel like, social media has become this space where people are sharing feelings of being overwhelmed and stressed and like there's so much and this changes and this is happening and this and it just feels like there's no release, there's no relief anywhere. So let's start by defining stress, because I know that stress is also a word that we use all the time, and I think loosely in many cases. So let's help us define stress.
Okay, well, the official definition is a state or of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from challenging or demanding circumstances. So it's a normal response to perceived threats or challenges in our environment that are really beyond our coping ability. So it's quite normal to feel stress, and certainly these days it feels like you can't escape it. I think over years and years, the factors that make us feel stress, there's more and more of them. And I really think social media and the internet and all of those things over the years have really compounded that, because things are instantaneous. If there's something that happens that causes stress, we find about it instantaneously. And it can really feel like we're constantly being bombarded by bad news, in addition to the normal stress that we feel about work or our families or all of those things.
You know, Denise, you mentioned something that I think it's so important to acknowledge. We are finding about things that are happening all over the world in moments, right? I mean, on my personal feed, because I know that our feeds also depend upon our friends and where they are located, right? But
Yeah.
I've seen, just in the past week or week and a half, I guess, about an earthquake in Asia, a roof falling on a bar in Dominican Republic. I want to say 2 or 3 small planes crashing here in Florida, in the Hudson River, right? So we're constantly seeing and hearing all of this news, and you're so right. Like, it just feels like I already have all of these things in my personal life that I am dealing with, and then I go to social media to try to get some relief to forget about what's going on in my life. And I find that the world is, it's just there's all of this big things that are happening that are negative in many cases. And how do I walk away from stress? It's like it just feels like it's overwhelming all of the time, and I cannot turn anywhere, because whenever I turn something stressful, something, I'm going to call it bad, maybe even, it's happening.
Social media and the news can be, it's a double-edged sword, really, because you can get a lot of connection through social media. We stay connected to friends who live far away. And we want to know what's happening with our friends. But then at the same time, when you go on social media, you are bombarded by those negative things. And so it's a really delicate balance. And I find, for my professional life, of course, I need to be aware of social media, need to stay on social media. But personally, I want to run from it, because I just feel that it really, it doesn't always add positively to your mental well-being. In fact, many times it doesn't at all. So it's tough. It's hard to stay connected and informed in what's happening in the world, which of course everyone should do. But at the same time, there's so much negativity out there, and that really can have an effect on your well-being. In addition, as we talked about, with all of the stress you're carrying because of your families and your work and other organizations you're involved in. So it's a very delicate balance, and one that I certainly haven't mastered at all. But I'm aware of it, and I think being aware of it is just so important, because then if you realize that it's starting to really negatively affect you, then take a break from social media. It's okay if you're not going to be aware of what's happening in the world all the time. Take a break from it for your mental well-being.
And that is really, really important. And, as you said, it's hard to get away from it. I mean, this show is coming to you through your preferred social media, right? This is online. So it's because of exactly what Denise said. There's good things out there in social media. It just feels like when something stressful, something I'm, again, for lack of a better word, something bad, something challenging, something stressful happens, it just amplified and everybody's talking about it. And it's hard. It's really hard to break away from those videos, from those photos, from the conversations, because if you click on it once to read and find out what happened, then the algorithm immediately starts bringing you more and more and more and more of that. So it's like you can't get away from it if you are on your phone. But as Denise said, you have the power. You have the power to just put it away. You have the power to come and connect with Conectados instead of connecting with all of those other things. So, but that's really, I say it as a fun thing, but it's really true that you can affect your algorithm by what you're choosing. So, but that's not the conversation we're here for. We're here because we're trying to acknowledge that stress is there, right? And what I really want to try to do with this conversation is I want to give us back power, because many times we feel powerless when we're faced with stress, right? So when we're thinking about stress, Denise, is it always bad? Because we all have also, I feel in a way, just kind of like we have a bias against stress, and we think stress is always a bad thing. Is that true? Is our bias really true? Is stress always really a bad thing?
No, it's not. I mean, stress can be very motivating. It can help you to focus. If you have a little bit of stress, I'll give you an example. To prepare for this interview, I am always nervous when it comes to public speaking or these types of platforms. I'm able to focus like, okay, I don't want to look like an idiot out there. So I'm going to take some time and try to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Doesn't always work, but I do try. And so it can be stress can be motivating to make you to do a good job on something. When you're facing challenges or deadlines, having a little bit of stress can really focus you. Importantly, it can also build resilience, which resilience is so important to help us get through stressful times. Resilience helps you to understand that you can make it, like you made it through the stressful situation. It may not have turned out exactly how you wanted to, but you learned something from it. And you can build on those learning opportunities so that when you're facing another stressful situation, maybe not the same one, that you might have better coping skills. So building resilience is really important. It can also boost immune function and enhance your learning and memory processes. So it isn't always bad, but chronic bad stress is bad. And we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So it's important to know that, because when we hear the word stress, we immediately cringe, and it's like we don't want to experience stress, right? And Denise just gave us a little bit of something to be on the lookout for, right? Is like recognizing how stress, or the type of stress that it is. Is it that motivating factor? Is it that situation that just is helping us build coping skills and become more resilient? Or is it something that's chronic? Is it something that's debilitating? Is it really acting in a negative way? As Denise is going to talk to us more here in a little bit. And, before we get to that point, I think it's important because I won't be able to recognize whether I'm feeling stressed or not if I don't know how my body reacts, if I don't know how I react. So help us, think a little bit through, those typical responses that we may have to stress, the physical signs that we may be experiencing as we are stressed. Because I think that before we can determine whether what we're feeling is that positive, encouraging, not encouraging, motivating stress, or is it that, that chronic stress, I think it's important to first recognize when we're stressed.
Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of symptoms that can help a person recognize when they're stressed. You might have a racing heart. You might start to sweat a little bit more than usual. Muscle tension, or even like fidgety. An upset stomach can also be a sign of anxiety for sure, or headache. Insomnia and fatigue definitely are signs of stress.
So Denise, you mentioned a word here that I know it's used loosely, and is I am so anxious, I have anxiety. Like we hear this, right? All of the time. I'm stressed and anxious, like they're used interchangeably all of the time. Are they really the same thing? Is anxiety and stress, are they really just the mirror of each other? Or is there a difference that we need to notice when we're speaking about stress and when we're speaking about anxiety?
Well, there is a difference. So really the difference between stress and anxiety is really duration and intensity. So stress is a natural reaction to things in our environment, to stressors, to demands. And it's typically linked to an event or a specific situation. Whereas anxiety is a persistent feeling of worry. Even in the absence of a clear trigger, it's just kind of this feeling of, I don't know, I kind of describe it as like a low grade buzzing in your body, perhaps. But the key there is that it would be something long term. Chronic anxiety is long term. It's something that you're not just, it doesn't just go away when your event is over, when your public speaking event is over. It's something that is really just kind of this feeling of nervousness that you have. And certainly long-term anxiety can really lead to more serious mental health challenges. You can't carry that level of anxiety without something giving. It's just our bodies are not meant to carry long-term anxiety without needing something like mental health intervention. So talking with a therapist, possibly medication. These are all things that if you really think that you're feeling long-term anxiety, persistent long-term anxiety. So while we look at stress as can be beneficial, long-term stress is not, or bad stress can, as I said, can lead to a more serious mental health condition. And so really there's sort of a rule of thumb. If a person is feeling persistent anxiety or depression or another mental health condition for 2 weeks or more, and it's really affecting your day to day. So it's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to, go to work or perform at work. And if this feeling is lasting and intense for 2 weeks or more, that really is the trigger to get some mental health support. So whether that be schedule an appointment with your doctor or a therapist, also even contacting NAMI. So our organization supports individuals and families affected by mental illness. So we have support groups for adults, for family members, and for parents and caregivers of children with mental health conditions or behavioral health conditions. So we really pride ourselves on giving hope for people who are in a state of needing support. And it's also a very non-judgmental place. We all understand mental illness here. Most of the people who contact us feel a sense of relief and non-judgment when they're dealing with the other people that they're meeting in their classes and support groups. So it's a safe place.
Denise, you mentioned two things, and I was writing them down here as so that I don't forget. You mentioned the word depression. We were talking about anxiety, and you mentioned the word depression. And you talked about us. If you're feeling anxious, you said if you're having a hard time getting out of bed, if you're having a hard time, those are things that we usually think about when we think about depression, right? And yet here we're hearing that anxiety looks a lot like depression, it sounds like, right? So
anxiety can be paralyzing, just like depression is. If you are so worried about a situation, say you're having an issue with your boss at work and you're so anxious about it, it can be very paralyzing. It can lead you to say, okay, I just can't even go to work. I do not want to even deal with this situation. So, and again, it goes back to those, whether you're talking about anxiety or depression, it really is the intensity and the duration that you should be looking out for. Because even with depression, we all have days. We have bad days, or have even periods of time, maybe a couple bad days where things just it's hard to have hope and you're not feeling great. But typically, for most people, those symptoms abate and you can kind of come out of, those mild depression episodes. But it's when it becomes serious and persistent and long-term is when you really do have to talk to a provider.
So what we're hearing here is today, this morning, is really pay attention to the length. How many days? How long have you been feeling this way? Is this something that comes and goes? Is it something I almost want to say like like as you were talking about this interview, and sorry that I stressed you. But
Public speaking does any sort of, I mean, and I know this about myself, and most of the time it turns out just fine, but it's just I accept the fact that I'm going to be a little stressed before I give a public presentation of any kind. And it's not you, it's just that's the way my body's always been, and it gets a little bit easier over time, again, that building resilience. But it's just I know this about myself, so I accept it and I just try to minimize it by being prepared.
And that's exactly that's exactly where I was going. Like there are things that stress me out as well. I have realized that long flights, a dream of mine is to just travel around the world. But I have realized that flights that are over, that if I have to picture myself in a plane for over 6 hours, like 7, 8, anything like that, for a couple of days before the flight, my heart, and I can't sleep. And if I sleep on my side, because I like to sleep on my side sometimes, and if I sleep on my heart, then I need to move real quick because I can't breathe. Like, and I have to control myself, right? So it's something. So this is the point that I'm trying to make here, that this is a good thing. Usually a flight is a very good thing, is because I'm going on a trip. It's going to be a fun thing. Yet thinking about getting on that plane so that I can go and have all of that fun time with friends and family stresses me out, right? So this is something that I've had to, as like with you with public speaking, realize and then just be aware of that and know that that's not staying with me. And it doesn't even stay with me when I'm in the plane. Like, it's just when I am building up to that moment that for whatever reason, it just plays with my mind, and I need to kind of like, get myself together and prepare myself mentally for, I'm going to be there. And so I'm going to be watching these movies, and I'm going to bring my book, and I have to take steps to prepare myself for that stressful situation. But if I was staying in that feeling nervous, right, and not triggered by one event per se, but like, everything, I think that's what Denise was trying to tell us, that if you're always feeling nervous, if you're always feeling stressed, if it's something that it's a switch that you just can't turn off, then, and so that's why it's so important to recognize, right, how your body reacts. Because I know I carry all my stress right here, and when I'm doing something, I will find myself like this, and then I have to relax, and my shoulders hurt. But that's something I had to learn with time, and after many physical therapy appointments, that's how I carry my stress. And so it's important for us to know, those physical reactions that we may be experiencing, those emotional reactions. And then that's where I'd like for you to, maybe it's affecting your relationship. Sometimes we're fighting with our partners, with our kids, with our friends, with people who we normally don't have arguments with, and we don't know where that's coming from, right? So help us really, dig a little bit deeper into ourselves, and maybe look for things that we might be experiencing, feeling, and not recognizing yet, that because there may be some stress, or there may even be some anxiety there that we need to be addressing.
Sure. And stress affects people differently. And it can lead to increased conflict with loved ones or relationships that you have, emotional distance. So someone, you may notice you or a loved one is especially quiet because they're internalizing a lot of this stress. Communication breakdowns, definitely. You may not be communicating with your loved ones as well, and vice versa. So, and that can really lead to social isolation, which isn't a good thing. It's so important for humans to interact with each other. And so we I mean, even yesterday, my husband, I said to him, you've been snapping at me all day. What's the deal? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to do our taxes. I hate doing taxes. So It had nothing to do with me, but it was something that I noticed right away. And it made him stop to realize, okay, yeah, I guess I have been snapping at her maybe, and this is the reason. And then that helped me to understand a little bit better. So communicating with each other during these stressful times is really, really important because yeah, okay, then I don't take it personally. I know, hey, I don't want to do our taxes either. So, at least at least he's honest about it. And I but it also was kind of a little bit of a check for him, like, okay, I shouldn't be taking this out on her. um so it's, it can, and it really, stress does really affect people in different ways. So you just have to, there's that level of self-awareness, trying to understand how stress affects you, and also trying to understand how stress affects your loved ones, because it can also help you, just in my case, help you to understand, okay, this isn't personal, and they must be feeling stress about X, even if they're not articulating it. So if, it's just, communication is just so important.
And this brings me back to something you said earlier that I wrote down about NAMI. You said that you guys get this from people all the time, that they get this sense of relief and a safe space and non-judgment. And, in your own way, you just express that in your own space with your family, with your friends, and, that circle, that community, to have that community, that support around you, and that understanding and that communication that you're speaking of. I think it's so, so, so important. So, Denise, tell us a little more about, NAMI being that space, and also maybe even like ways and techniques. I mean, you clearly, the relationship you have at home is good enough that, one, you're able to recognize something is happening with your partner, that you can call it out, but also it's such a safe place, that you guys have, that you're able to call it out and say, hey, wait a minute, you're acting a little different. And that's actually helping, your husband in this case, check in and be like, you're right, I'm stressed about this, and that's affecting the way I'm interacting with you. How do we, what are some of those techniques? How can NAMI help people, develop maybe that self-awareness that you spoke about, some of those techniques that maybe we can, just be on the lookout for with other people around us, that we can use at home, with friends, with family. Just talk to us a little bit, because I think we feel many times that we cannot control it. And what I don't think we realize, that actually many times we can. There are many things that we can control. Yes, there's things that we cannot, but there's a lot of things that we have control over. And that's what I like to focus on for this, final part of our conversation today.
Yeah. Well, so there's still a lot of stigma out there about mental illness. And I think that leads people to have this reluctance to seek help. And that's unfortunate, because having a mental health condition is not a moral failing. It's typically a disease of the brain, and it can be caused, it can be triggered by environmental factors. So it's important to know family history. If you are feeling a mental health or possibly having a mental health condition, and it runs in your family, the odds are good the odds are better that it might be happening to you too, and you should check it out. And the great thing about NAMI is all of our classes and our support groups are taught and facilitated by volunteers with lived experience. So every single one of them, at least on some level, understands what these families are going through. If you're a peer with mental illness and you're running our support group, you at least, when people come in to that support group, they know that the people in that room understand, at least on some level, what they're going through. And that's a really important thing about NAMI. And it is, because of that, it is this non-judgmental space where people can come and feel free, and you don't even have to speak in a support group. You can just listen. But I think for a lot of people, it's validating that, oh my gosh, here I thought I was the only person that my kid's getting or I'm getting calls from the school every day because my kid's misbehaving. And it can be very isolating if you are that parent or you are that person living with a mental health condition. And so to have that network of support And then we also have education classes, which are free. We do them twice a year, typically in the spring and the fall. Two of our classes have already started. Actually, our peer class is starting, or it started yesterday on Tuesday, the 15th. But there's still space. If you still want to sign up, you can. It's okay if you miss the first class, even really the second, but the more classes you attend, the better the information is. So if you would still like to sign up for peer-to-peer, you can reach out to us on our web, NamiHowardCountyMD.org, and there's a class interest form that you can fill out, and so we can get you signed up for the class. And then for the family class, that's to help support your loved ones and understand what they're going through. We have a class for parents and caregivers that's starting on May 14th, and there's still spaces available for our parent class. Those classes and support groups really provide that supportive community that can be so helpful to people who are experiencing, whether it's their mental health or that of a family member or friend.
And I have to say that I've actually taken a class, one of the Spanish classes that NAMI offers, and I couldn't believe all the information that we were getting in that short period of time. And how much I was learning about myself, about those who were around me, things that I was bringing home that I could apply, with my kids, with my family in general, even with my mom, because I live with my mom. So like in that relationship with her, some of the things that I was able to apply from the knowledge that I was bringing. So, and I mean, I wasn't having any mental illness per se. Nobody at home was having anything that was major per se, because I think that sometimes in these we feel like we have to be in crisis so that we will then get involved and learn more and connect with NAMI. But the reality of it is the more we can, I feel, the more we can build up on those tools and those coping mechanisms and skills and on our self-knowledge and just have those tools ready, I think the better we are. Like, we don't wait. We have a physical, with our doctors every year. We don't wait to be sick to go to the doctor. We go to the doctor when we're sick for other reasons, but we have our physical every year because it's important. It's important to go and just check and see how we're doing.
And I'm glad you brought up the point about crisis, because I hope that most of you have heard about 988, which is the mental health version of 911. So if a person is having a mental health crisis, they should call 988. And that doesn't just mean a suicide, like an active suicidal crisis. 988 is staffed with trained mental health counselors. And so even if you just are having a really bad day and you want to talk to someone, 988 is completely appropriate. But it's also appropriate if you or a loved one are actively in a suicidal crisis or wanting to hurt somebody else. So it's important to note that. And NAMI really isn't, I like to think of us as the hope after the crisis. So once a person is stabilized, we're that education and support piece. So we wouldn't be the ones to call in a crisis. It would be 988. And odds are that 988, it's regional. So most of the time, those calls are going to be routed to Grassroots, which is our local crisis team in Howard County. But sometimes if Grassroots is busy, it might be routed to a general, like someone in a different area, they will direct you to the appropriate local resources. 988 has only been around for a couple of years, and there's still a lot of people who don't know about it. So share that information with your friends and family and neighbors. It's important to know, and that is a wonderful place and a quick place to get support if you really need it.
So we've talked about, stress. We've differentiated between anxiety. Now we know that stress isn't always bad, right? That it actually can be a motivator. But we also have that awareness now that we need to just check in, just realize whether that stress is always with us or if it's something that, just kind of goes in waves and it's not controlling us, that we're controlling it. So we also know 988, we're going to put that number on our phones. We're going to have it and we're just going to memorize it, 988, and we're going to share it with our friends or family. Let's remind, I know Denise, you also share with us, NAMI, and you said that you guys are there as a resource, as an educational resource. Hope after the crisis. I'm going to add to that, hope before the crisis even. Just come and learn, just come and, connect with mental health. Not in the crisis time, but like before or after that. Like let's not get to the crisis. Let's really amplify this message of taking care of our mental health so that we don't get to those crises. But let's remind everyone where they can go and find NAMI's information, where they can go and get all the schedule of classes, where they can connect with you guys, and also just a message that you would like to leave everybody with after a conversation today.
Okay, well, first, our website, NamiHowardCountyMD.org, is where you can find all of the information. If you're looking for classes, you click on the big tab that says education. If you're looking for support groups, click on the big tab that says support. There's also a lot of great general information about local resources on there, about different mental health conditions. Our website has a lot of information. If you prefer to call, our number is 410-772-9300. We all work part-time, so we don't always catch the phone when it rings, but we check messages frequently and we'll get back to you. And then there's also, if you want to directly email us, it's info@NamiHowardCountyMD.org. So if you have questions or comments and you just want to reach out to us, that is the best general information box to reach us. As far as a final message, I would just say, don't be afraid to ask for help. And also just look in on each other. We're all facing so many difficult situations, and at work, at home, and then getting bombarded by news and all of the bad things are happening in the world. And, sometimes, that human connection is so important. And just to reach out to a neighbor or a loved one and just find out how they're doing, even if it's just a quick text, hey, just checking in on you. Hope you're doing all right. Let me know if you want to talk. That means the world to people, especially in these isolating times. So that would be my message.
What a beautiful message to close this conversation with, right? To check in with yourself, right? To do that quick text to yourself, right? Like that quick message, like, hey, how am I doing? I'm doing, right? And what am I experiencing? And then I value community so much. And then to just, check in with your community, your personal community, your friends, your family. How are you doing? And just be in those spaces and just accompany each other. I think that that's the best medicine, in my opinion, that can really turn things around. So Denise, thank you so much for bringing that message. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Chris. It was great to see you and to talk with you today.
Same here. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. And we're going to be right back with Conectados. Stay tuned.
The owner of this house. We had the house for 2 days in the market. We had multiple offers, and the property sold $25,000 over asking price. Are you ready to sell? Call me. I'm ready to help you.
We are back with Conectados. Thank you so much for connecting with me this Wednesday. I really hope you enjoyed the conversation that I had with Denise, and that you get one thing from that conversation that you can start doing today. Maybe is that checking in on you. Maybe is that checking in on other people, right? Maybe reach out to somebody you haven't reached out to in a while. I think connecting with ourselves and connecting with others, building community is really, really important. So, as we heard during our holiday segment today, this weekend is Easter. And today I'd like to share part of the homily from the 10 a.m. Mass shared at St. John the Evangelist by Father Mel. So please listen out.
Each year on Palm Sunday, we recount the story of Jesus' passion. We hear about the events leading to his arrest, the agony in the garden, the passing of his case back and forth between Pilate, Herod, and the chief priests of the temple. We imagined what it was like for Jesus to be judged by human beings. Each year, we are invited to enter into this story, this human and divine drama, to remember it and to accompany Jesus during these trails. But we also need to ask ourselves, what is this all about? And what it means for each one of us. Where am I in the unfolding drama that begins on Palm Sunday and plays out over Holy Week and which climaxes on Easter? Where am I as Jesus passes by on the donkey? Where am I? Am I in the crowd shouting out his name? Am I like Judas in any way? When have I betrayed others or Jesus? Like Peter, have I denied knowing Jesus? Am I like Pilate, who has so much power to release Jesus, but eventually give in to the pressure? Am I like Simon of Cyrene, who helped Jesus in his time of need? Having stood with the crowd shouting out his name and welcoming Jesus, will I stand with the same people spitting out insults as I shout, "Crucify him, crucify him"? This is a week to pray and then decide what kind of followers of Christ we are and are going to be. And we do have a choice, just like the followers of Jesus. Palm Sunday, too, can allow us to confront the reality of our world, the suffering around us, the innocent who suffers, and it is always the poor who suffer. But there are those, and so many have lost their jobs. There are those who suffer because of poverty, from violence and war and natural disasters, and those victims of violence, they too and many others feel that they are hung on the cross. There's also the violence against our common home which we inflict on Mother Earth. The violence caused by drugs and by predators at train and bus stations to traffic innocent and vulnerable women and children. When we accompany those who suffer, we can have a choice. We can be like Joseph of Arimathea, who refuses to participate in an unjust persecution, or like the women who do not run from the agony of Jesus' death, but tended to his broken, lifeless body. Perhaps we can be like the centurion who praises God even in the midst of darkness. This Holy Week, we reflect on the love of God shown to us in Jesus. The focus is on Jesus, the cross. Love starts from the cross. Love is defined by the cross. Our God suffers because He loves. It is love that is so humble beyond anything we can possibly imagine. Celebrating Holy Week invites us to learn who we are as disciples. And Jesus has left us His core prayer, His last words from the cross. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. When we pray it, we consecrate ourselves to be for others like Jesus.
Who am I? Where am I? In every day, where am I? What am I doing? As Jesus is there in the cross. I think that's a beautiful message that I wanted to share with you today. And this Holy Week, there's a lot of celebrations happening at St. John's. This is the schedule of what's happening. You can see here, Palm Sunday was last Sunday, but you have Holy Thursday. That's a bilingual mass at 7 p.m. There's adoration until 10 p.m. Good Friday, the 3 p.m. is the Lord's Passion. That's in English at 5 p.m. You'll have the Living Stations of the Cross in Spanish. But everyone is welcome. So even if you don't speak Spanish, but you know the story, so please come and enjoy it. I think it's going to be beautiful. At 7 p.m. you also have the Passion of Christ, and then You also have on Saturday at 8 p.m. the Easter Vigil. So come and enjoy that. And then on Sunday, you have your regular schedule of masses. And this is only at St. John's Catholic. And I share this information because that's the community that I belong to. That's the parish where I go when I exercise my faith. So, if you belong to any other parish and you have celebrations happening there as well, just I hope that you really take this next few days to really connect and really ask that question that Father was asking today. Where am I and who am I as all of this is happening? Am I just observing, or do I have the power to do something? And am I doing something in my daily dive to help this message of love and be carried out every day in every moment for everybody? So with that, I close I close Conectados today. I thank you so much for joining me every Wednesday at 9 a.m. in English and in Spanish on Fridays also at 9 a.m. If you have topic ideas, if you have suggestions, if you have, I like to tell stories of people in our community, and I am looking for stories. So if you have a story, if you know someone who has a story, it could be fun, it could be of overcoming struggle, it could be inspiring, it could be just different. I mean, there's so many different stories out there, and I think all of our community has beautiful stories to tell. So I really would like to start telling stories about people in our community. Please reach out to me, info@crisoviedo.com. Let me put that on the comments for you so you can reach out to me, info@crisoviedo.com. But please reach out if you have ideas, if you have guest suggestions, if you have topic suggestions, reach out. I want to build this program so that it really brings you topics that matter to you, that are important to you, and that help you, as we were talking with Denise earlier, both, yes, connect with things that are important, but at the same time get a little relief and know that this is a non-judgment zone and that this is a zone where we grow together. So thank you so much for being with me. I will be back on Friday with the segments in Spanish, and then I'll be back next week in English on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful Easter, and until next time, I am Cris Oviedo.